started, Beta? Have you done that? Please, thank you. So we will be discussing the further part of the chapter, that is water, a natural resource. Okay, in this we will be discussing for water cycle. Then next is the groundwater. Then what is water table? What are the different reasons for the depletion of water table? Then coming on to the conservation part. Okay, conservation of natural resources. What do you mean by conservation? And then looking on to the different methods for the conservation of water. Clear? The very first, water cycle. Now water cycle, as you have learned this in lower standard also, cycle means which keeps on continuing. Okay, so water cycle is the cycle wherein the water in different states keep in uh, cycling. Okay, keeps on cycling from one state to the another state in nature. Okay, and it is always, please pay attention everyone, it is always in a fixed quantity that water is getting circulated in the nature. Next, what are the different processes which are involved in this water cycle? Those are the very first, evaporation, evapotranspiration, that is from the leaves, from trees, plants. Okay, next, as these water vapor which occur, okay, the evaporation takes place at all temperature, we are aware of this. As this water vapor go higher in the altitude, we know the temperature is very low, it condenses, the condensation takes place in it. Okay, it forms into water droplets, it accumulates to form the clouds, and when these clouds becomes too heavy, they precipitate. So the process is referred as precipitation. Okay, so precipitation takes place, and it can be in different forms like rain, sleet, hail, snow. Okay, drizzling. So these are of different forms where the precipitation can takes place. Now what happens to the rain, the precipitation which when falls on the ground, what happens to the it may enter into the water sources, the rivers, lakes, oceans. Okay, or it falls down on the mountain as a snow and be there deposited over there. Later on, as the temperature increases, it melts and again move into the rivers and seas and oceans. Clear? Next, some of the water, it drains into what? Sewage. Okay, it drains into sewage. 3 points are written in your textbook also. Please make a note of it, everyone. On page number 207, seeps through the soil and gather underground as a groundwater. Okay, as a groundwater. Now next, coming on to what is the groundwater. What is groundwater? Groundwater is the water which is present below the earth's surface. Okay, but then it should be in saturated amount. The water which is present in saturation between the soil particles or the rocks, that particular water is referred as groundwater, and the place where it is stored is referred as aquifer. Okay, referred as aquifer. Clear? Now what is water table? Water table is the upper level limit of the groundwater. Okay, where it is present in saturated amount between the soil particles or the cracks of the rocks. So that is referred as what? Upper limit level of the groundwater, that is referred as water table. Am I clear with this part to everyone? Next, moving on to like aquifer, I have told you it's the place where the groundwater is available or is accumulated. Okay, it's that place. Next, what is infiltration? Infiltration is the process by which the water seeps down to the different levels of the soil. Okay, and gets filtered out. Okay, now with this filtration, what happens? The sedimentation, the sedimentary impurities which are there, it gets filtered out. Lastly, as it goes more deeper and deeper, the water goes more deeper and deeper, it will be only having the impurities of like microbes. Okay, of course it is not potable, but then at times, yes, we can drink it. Okay, at times we can drink it, but then we cannot say that it's a potable groundwater is a potable water. Am I clear with this part? Now, what do you mean by natural spring? Now, spring is the water which is coming out with a pressure, okay, from the non-porous part of the rocks. Like, for example, as water seeps down, okay, through the permeable rocks and soil particles, it reach to a level where it won't be finding any porous rocks. Okay, it will get accumulated over there. As it will be getting more accumulated again and again, there will be pressure created and it will find its way to come outside through the non-porous rocks, and that will be referred as natural spring. It's written in your textbook. I have told you to mark even that the groundwater may run along the surface of non-porous rock and come out of surface at some places to form natural spring. Okay, now the groundwater, how it can be obtained? It can be obtained by digging wells, okay, or by making tube wells, constructing tube wells. Okay, so this way you can draw the groundwater. Now, why the depletion of groundwater is seen? Moving on to the next topic, why we are facing depletion of groundwater, the water table. Okay, majorly in cities, the very first, okay, reason, the very first reason is the rise in population. Now, population increases, that means for making, for housing them, we need to construct more and more buildings. And as we are depleting the open areas, okay, as we are depleting the open areas, so the seepage, the percolation rate will going to decrease, and thus there is a lowering down of water table. Clear with this part? Next, construction itself, okay, construction of buildings or construction of cemented roads itself needs what? More of water. So again, from where the water is drawn? From the groundwater. I mean the ground only, from the ground only the water has been drawn. Okay. And next, agriculture. Now, as the population has increased, again, for serving them food, agriculture has to be increased. So again, increase in agriculture work. It utilizes water, which is again a groundwater. Then moving on to the next reason, deforestation. Now, deforestation again for construction purpose, for industrialization purpose, for manufacturing goods, deforestation is carried out. Now, deforestation means what? Cutting down the trees, and as trees are not there, obviously the roots which actually helps for the proper percolation of water into the ground also won't be available, and thus the percolation rate will going to decrease. Okay, percolation rate of water will going to decrease, thus lowering down the water table. Am I clear with this part to everyone? Next, increase in industrialization. Now, as the population has increased, obviously industrialization for what purpose? For manufacturing the goods, for employment purpose even. So there is a growth in industrialization, and because of which industries also uses water majorly for like as a coolant. Okay, as a coolant water is used, and even for cleaning purpose, many things water has been used, which again it is drawn from where? From the ground. Okay, so again water table lowers down. So these are the important reasons where water table is getting lowered, especially for the cities. As I have asked you in the class test, even please do remember the cemented roads. Okay, the like not availability of the open areas. Clear? Then wasting of water. Okay, unnecessarily using water. So these are the several other reasons where water table is getting decreased. Okay, next moving on to conservation. Now as we are facing so much of water crisis, so we need to understand the importance of water and we need to conserve it. Now the definition says conservation is what? Two things: wisely using the water, that means judiciously, okay, which is required, only use that much amount of water. Second thing is what? Maintaining the quality of water, that means carefully using the water. Okay, maintaining the quality of water. So two things are there in this definition, please do remember properly. Okay, next, water conservation. Now water conservation, as we have studied in this chapter about water, so we will be more focusing on the different methods of conservation for water. Okay, majorly the very first, as we are utilizing it at a very faster rate and unnecessarily, so we need to avoid the wastage of water. Even when utensils are washed, make a note that at like starting from your home only, make a note that the utensils are not washed under the running tap. In fact, the buckets can be filled buckets, okay, of water can be utilized, and for the whole day keeping such buckets and then washing the utensils. Okay, again washing the cars by using bucket rather than just using the water pipes. Okay, again water can be conserved. Okay, then brushing your teeth, of course it is given in your textbook also. Okay, so don't keep your tap knob on for all the time while brushing. Next, moving on to the maintenance of waterworks. Okay, water management. Now even every area or every particular ward, it is having some corporation which works for the water pipes maintenance, isn't it? Now the maintenance of those water pipes should be regularly done, okay, regularly checked. Otherwise, as like continuously these pipes are in contact with water and air, there is a possibility of there to breakage or any leakage. Okay, so it should be maintained. Next thing is what? Like as in the irrigation process, okay, irrigation agricultural work, water is utilized like so much, so that like farmers, they just fill the fields with water. So rather than using this method, we should go for the drip irrigation method or sprinkler system irrigation method. Okay, now in drip irrigation, what happens? There is a narrow tubings which are set along with the crops. Okay, and holes are made so that water is reaching to the base of the plant drop wise. Okay, rather than getting sprayed everywhere. Okay, spread everywhere in the field. Clear? So this is how we can conserve water by this method. Next, sprinkler system. Again, sprinkler system works at an interval of time. Okay, so again it is a very good method for conserving the water. Next, the industries, okay, which continuously discharge effluents. Okay, of course it should be treated so that we are not polluting the water sources. Okay, it may be acidic, it may be more basic, and when these discharge, when these effluents come into the water bodies, they are polluting the sources. Okay, so we should always treat the effluents which are discharged from the industries. Am I clear with this part? Next, using like while growing the crops or any plant, we should always use biofertilizers, okay, or organic fertilizers rather than using the chemical fertilizers. Why? Because these chemical fertilizers, when they start accumulating in the soil or along with the seepage of water, they go into the ground and thus they pollute the groundwater. Okay, so we should maintain the groundwater quality even. Am I clear with this part, everyone? Next, moving on to the effective and promising method, which is what? The rainwater harvesting. Okay, rainwater harvesting is the harvesting of water which is falling down as a rain. Am I clear with this part? Collecting the water which is falling on the terrace in a tube like channel which is directly going into the storage tank, or it is connected to the underground. Okay, underground directly it is recharging the water, I mean the groundwater. Clear with this part? And increasing the water table. Next, the traditional systems. Now, traditional systems again, like boweries. Okay, these are built for the purpose of storing the water. Which water? The rainfall water. Okay, now during the monsoon seasons, it heavily rains, so we can store that rainwater and then we can utilize it for the further months. Okay, wherein we are not getting the rainfall. So this is how we can go for the conservation of water. Am I clear with this all? I mean methods, everyone? Anubha, please stop the recording.